Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Tips and Tricks for Your Mix. I'm your host, Brother Rue, executive producer from My Block Entertainment Home Recording Studios. Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue the series on Battle with the Frequencies, and today we're going to go ahead and get into the low end. A lot of this episode, is going to be based on the tutorial I did on how to mix your kicks. So we're going to kind of go back into that a little bit, but really I'm just going to really deal with the whole frequency spectrum and the range of the low end and how to kind of balance them out so you don't have too much muddiness going down there in the mix. Now, if you remember from the past two tutorials, the high end and the mid range, we're always cutting out the low end anyway, so that we have enough room in there to be able to put our bass, our kicks, whatever we need to put in there. All right. Now today I don't have a full-fledged song, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up the studio, okay? And I just got a simple drum, snare, and a bass line going here. So what I'm gonna do, take this out first of all, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and load all this into the mixer real quick, like so. I'm gonna turn up my interface because that's how I mix. Bring all my levels down. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, now this first kick I believe is just kind of a punchy kick, so we'll go ahead and put everything into mono. Okay, let's take a listen to this kick. Now if you hear any noise in the background, we're about to have dinner, so I'm trying to get this tutorial done pretty quick. So alright, so here we go, let's take a listen. Okay, so it is kind of a punchy kick. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of see where it's at in the analysis. And it looks like it's hitting at about 48 hertz. So what I'm going to do, and see it's all lighting up here, so it all kind of depends on what you want to have inside of your kicks, and if you want to have a mid-range or an upper mid in there. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and cut out all the way up to the mid-range section. Excuse me. And then I'm gonna kind of roll this off back right here. Not so steep, because if you do it so steep, then you're gonna lose the muscle of the kick. See? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and roll this back up. We're gonna get the second band of the frequency, and then we're gonna boost it at wherever it was lighting up at. Remember, it was lighting up at about 48 hertz. So that's where we're gonna do it at, about right there. Okay, right there. Now I hear it's too bassy now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start rolling this back. Okay, now the more that I roll it back, the more I'm going to bring this back. So now my kick just got a lot of bass behind it, and it got a lot of thump behind it. And that's what I want. That's the sound of that kick that I'm going for. So right now I'm at 104 hertz, rolled off on 51 hertz. Okay. So that's what that kick sounds like now. Now, this next one I know for sure is 808. It's an 808 kick. So what we're going to do, bring in another EQ and make sure it's in mono. Okay. Now we're going to take a listen to it by itself first. So it's booming pretty good, but I don't want too much of that tail of the bass in kind of on there. So what I'm going to do is roll off the 808 to about 40 hertz. Okay. So now it's not thumping as hard. Now if you remember, our first kick was at 104, so since I want this one to be more of like a sub bass, we're going to put it in the low bass area, about 50 hertz. Also gonna take off the high range, or the high frequency, excuse me. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and play these two together, and then we're gonna level match. So it's pretty good. Now our level on our 808 can actually get brought up more if we needed it to be, but for right now we're gonna keep it right there. I mean, really when you mix down and everything, you're gonna want to kind of boost them up just a little bit, you know, because our master is only sitting at 16. So if we wanted to, we could actually boost this up to here, you know, whatever we need to do. But for right now, we're gonna bring up that 808 just a little bit. So now I can hear the kick and the 808 without too much muddiness going on. So now I'm going to bring in this bass, this little bass line here. And this is more of a sub bass, and this is where this tutorial is going to really, you know, take off, and how Battle with the Frequencies can really, you know, frequencies can really start affecting your mix. So you hear it, but it's kind of like ducked underneath that 808. So what we're going to do, again, bring up another EQ, take a look at the analysis. Okay, a lot of it's down here in the low range. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to roll that off. And then we're going to bring up one of these mids. Now I know it sounds crazy because there's nothing going on back here, but watch what happens when I bring this up and then swing it over. Okay, now you can actually start hearing that bass, and it has kind of like a grunt to it, because we don't want to have so much sub bassiness going on down there. So we're bringing out more of the mid-range of the bass into the sub, if that makes sense. So we're making that gruntiness of the bass sound like a sub. So now let's bring up the EQ again. We'll roll it off just a little bit more. Now, with that being said, now we can go ahead and raise this up, because I want that bass line to be more more of the song than what the kicks are, if that makes sense. I want to hear the kicks, but I want to hear the bass line more. Also going to roll off the high frequency. So, I mean, there you have it. And then, of course, we'd add in our snares. And if you remember from the mid-range tutorials, you know, kind of want to give it that snap to it, you know what I mean? So now we're going to drop this, raise this, level adjust. Give ourselves a reverb. Open it up. Master still sitting at 14 dB. So that's pretty good. Low end is pretty easy to mix. I mean, low end and mid range, well, actually all the frequency range and the spectrums and everything. The one simple thing that you have to remember is, if you can remember the phrase battle with the frequencies, then I can guarantee you that your mixes are going to improve dramatically. I mean, they're going to improve so much, because now you have a thought process of not trying to stick every frequency in one area just because you're trying to boost it. Remember, you gotta, sometimes you have to cut it, and then you gotta raise the level of the fader to bring out that sound that you want. So basically that's it for low end. I think the wife is almost done cooking dinner, so I think I'm gonna go eat. I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. I think I'm gonna do a couple of more on battle with the frequencies, just for like vocals and whatnot. I don't know yet, but until then, God bless you guys, and we'll see you then.